Alrighty, guys. Let's well, first of all, let's just go over some words. We've built up a pretty good bank of words, and let's practice pronouncing all of them and just remind ourselves how far we've come. And then we're going to make some simple sentences with these words, but there'll also be some trickery involved because for me to be excited about making these videos, there has to be some something to look forward for me. Uh, if I just make you like boring plain vanilla sentences all the time, then I don't know, you probably won't get that many videos. So I like to throw some curveballs, and we can discuss them later in class. But first, let's just do a rundown of the words that we know. We've picked up some words on the last lecture. Много. Много. It means a lot. And I guess it's an adverb. I'm not sure. But these on the right side, they're adjectives. Большой. Большой. This is male gender for the adjective big. Большая. Большая. This is a female adjective for the word big. Большое. Большое. This is the middle gender adjective for the word big. Мало. Мало. A little. Маленький. Маленький. This is the male adjective for the word small or little. Маленькая. Маленькая. This is the female adjective for the word little or small. Маленькая. Маленькая. This is the middle gender adjective for the word small or little. I just wanted to pronounce these two so you could hear how the endings change, because that's the only thing that changes are these endings. I'm not going to pronounce all of them. That's too time consuming. I'll just go over the adverbs, and then I think, and I'll give you maybe a couple more, and then you should be able to extrapolate what the rest of them sound like. Хорошо. Хорошо. This is an adverb for good. Плохо. Плохо. This is an adverb for bad. Громко. Громко. This is an adverb for loud. Now, how would you say the female gendered adjective for loud? Громкая. Громкая. Тихо. Тихо. This is an adverb for quiet. Дорого. Дорого. This is an adverb for expensive. Now, how would you say expensive meat? Considering that meat is middle gender. Middle gender. Дорогое мясо. Дорогое мясо. Дешево. Дешево. This is an adverb for cheap. Тяжело. Тяжело. This is an adverb for heavy or hard. And hard in this case is not something that's physically hard, but something that's difficult to do. The word for work is работа, as in like a job. Работа. And it's female gender. So how would you say a hard job? Тяжелая работа. Тяжелая работа. Легко is an adverb for light or easy. Интересно. Интересно. This is an adverb for interesting. You probably could have figured that out. Скучно. Скучно. This is an adverb for boring. Now, as we've already covered, one of the words for movie in Russian is film. Excuse me, film. But there's another word for movie, and it's кино. Кино. And it is of middle gender. How would you say a boring movie using the second option? Скучное кино. Скучное кино. The adjectives has to agree with the middle gender. That's why we pick this one. Сложно. Сложно. This is an adverb for complicated or complex. Просто. Просто. This is an adverb for simple. Okay, now let's go over some nouns. We have some nouns here. We've had them in the last lecture, so let's go over them again. Человек. Человек. This is a word for person, and it is of male gender. Машина. Машина. This should be easy to remember. This is a word for car, and it is of female gender. Дом. Дом. This is a word for house, and it is of male gender. Друг. Друг. See if you can make your R roll. It's not natural for English speakers to roll their R's, but this is a fun exercise. And usually, when I speak Russian, I try to roll my R's just a little bit, like I would say "друг." You can hear it; it rolls just a little bit. That's a word for a male friend. Подруга. Подруга. That's a word for female friend. And друзья. Друзья is a word for plural friends. Рыба is a fish, you already know. I'll go through these quickly. We've covered them before. Мясо. This one is a fun one. Мороженое. Мороженое. Maybe we should take it apart by syllables. Ма-ро-же-ное. And the reason that we pronounce the first syllable as ma and the second one as ro is because the emphasis is on the second syllable. And if you remember, the O's that do not get the emphasis sound more like ah than like o. Мороженое, молоко, молоко. This means milk, чай, кофе, ручка, мама, папа, брат, сестра, сын, дочь, суп, блины. Блины are these crepes. Crepes that you can stuff, or just eat by themselves. I think all these other words you guys knew. Recently, we've introduced the word только, which means just or only. Даже, this is a word. This word means even, but not as an even number or equal, but as a word of emphasis. Like, even he knows it. That kind of even. Уже. This means already. Actually, you know what? Let me just type the translations here. Конечно is a word that I used during lecture 3, and it means of course. And then these ones I think you know. И, which means and. Или, which means or. And no, which means but, with one T. Our question words. Что, which means what. Где, which means where. Как, probably the very first word that we've learned after привет, which means how. And когда, which means when. Let me also give you another question word. Кто, which means who. One thing I will say about these question words is just like in English, they don't have to be forming a question, but they can also be used to join sentences, or just in general be used as that word without forming a question. For example, in English, you can say, I like what he said. And we are using the word what, and it's not a question. In Russian, the same applies. And you will see in the following examples, I will be using these question words, sometimes for questions, but sometimes for other purposes. The two fun little words we've learned in lecture 3, тут, which means here, and tam, which means there. And I want to talk about this word. This is a special word, это, which means it or this. And it might even deserve its own mini lecture because it's a very versatile word, but it varies how we work with it. For now, I want to talk about это as an adjective. Okay? So, just like in English, the word this can be used as an adjective, or maybe I'm not using the correct term, but for example, I could say, I like this car. And this, in this case, is a word that's used to describe a car. And to me, at least, it becomes an adjective at that point. And in Russian, once it becomes an adjective, it has to agree by gender to the noun that it's describing. So when we are describing uh, a male, a noun with the word this, we will say этот. Этот. When we're describing a female noun with the word this, we will say эта. Эта. And when we're describing a middle gender noun with the word this, we will say это. Это. Did you hear any difference between these two? I didn't. Even though they spell differently, because the emphasis is on the first syllable, the second syllable is actually pronounced the same for both words. One has a and the other has o, but o without the emphasis is pronounced as a. Okay, so this was kind of like semi review with some new content. But now